I think next up we've got Max and Luca for Europe. No, that shouldn't be on there. Sorry. I'll get your slides. Yeah, if you want, yeah.
I just want to say before I get started, seeing the dancing from Nairobi and also NG singing, it reminds me of this African proverb which says, when the music changes, so does the dance. And if technology is the music, then Cardano is the dance. That's what it seems like, right? Dear delegates and fellow Cardano community, it's an honor to address you shortly on behalf of Europe and the countries that hosted a Cardano constitutional workshop. My name is Max van Rossum, and I'm the delegate from the Netherlands. 14 countries contributed to this Cardano constitution via workshop, and more provided their input in other ways. On behalf of all the delegates and co-delegates, thank you for bringing Cardano as far as it has come. You want to take this one? 574 years ago, the Gutenberg printing press was invented. 33 years ago, the World Wide Web was made public, and it has only been a few years since the surge in AI's popularity. But just under 16 years ago, Bitcoin's Genesis block was minted. And this was an innovation not about the speed of information, like the printing press or the internet, but rather of the trust in information. Ethereum, Cardano, and other blockchains have significantly evolved upon that core innovation of providing a trustless infrastructure, where trust is not required in a central authority. How information spreads has been shown to be one of the most impactful forces that changes how humanity functions. And we've all been witnesses to it. And at this moment, we are still in the midst of such a paradigm shift. As technology evolves, we also see that politics has never been so polarizing, with conflicts around us in the 21st century. Technology companies have never held such power, while the climate and extreme weather events and farming cycles are structurally changing. Crises unite people, and what unites us today is a disjointed and polarized world. And yet we come here to create a shared bedrock of reality. The potential of Cardano's governance is to unleash the creative power of the global community upon that shared bedrock. Our challenge lies ever ahead to build a robust and honorable governance that will continue to unite a global community. It will require great collaboration and action to overcome the challenges ahead. It will not be easy, but we must remember that we are united to create a better system and not a perfect one. On politics, few will disagree that many of today's systems must become more transparent and scientifically driven. Cardano is showing the world that that new paradigm of governance is possible, and that we are rooted on a shared bedrock of reality. On the growing imbalance of technology, Cardano enables anybody to take control of their digital self-sovereignty. This is native to Cardano's blockchain, where identities and value are in control of the individual. As for climate, which is a major concern in Europe, Cardano is a leader in its energy-efficient consensus protocol, but beyond that, the real power of the Cardano community, the real power of Cardano lies in its community. A community that innovates to tackle the positive impact that they wish to see in the world, from carbon sequestration to clean energy economies and sustainable housing in Africa. Cardano's infrastructure can power the positive impact that matters on both global and local fronts. What we do today in Buenos Aires is to approve the proposed constitutional text, which we have with 95%, which is incredible, and it can only be ratified on-chain by the entire Cardano community. After these steps, it's just the beginning still. This system we make is not complete because it, like us, must of course still evolve. No one denies that we will learn much from the coming years of empirical governance data. We will discover how Cardano's ecosystem operates under its own governance. We will witness the constitution in practice, and we will see new connections form between people and technology. I can hardly wait for the first peer-reviewed papers to be written about the governance lessons that are undoubtedly waiting for us in the future. I will hand over to Luca after sharing this last anecdote from an old Dutch politician that happened to be sitting next to me on the plane to Kenya. He told me that Dutch governance was formed in large part due to the historic water crises in the Netherlands, and that there's an old saying in the Netherlands that loosely translates as follows: "Give us today our daily bread, and every now and then a water crisis." May we stay curious, optimistic, and turn the coming crises and challenges into our strengths. Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome. So I see Shaggy is already asking, what's the agenda today? So this was just a small intro that I wanted to do to honor Max, because I felt like this is one of the, it's a very nice portrait of how he saw Cardano governance. And I think in a way that's a bit what I wanted to remind us of. And from my side, I can say that's a bit what we're here to continue. So I'm going to drop in the chat the link to the Miro board and to a Google Sheet. So I'm going to be sharing the Miro board on screen in a moment. And the Google Sheet is in case you want to share your details to network with others here today. But jumping to the point of what's on the agenda, I shared it on Twitter earlier. And so basically, I wanted to start with this point of honoring Max. I'm going to touch a bit on our stance here as well, organizing these calls and what we're about. But yeah, then we have some recurring call segments that we wanted to look into, namely what governance actions are happening right now that we may want to touch on and discuss. And then something that comes from previous calls is some work on gathering ecosystem needs in terms of governance, relating to governance, and yeah, onwards to some more discussions. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to say hi and maybe introduce themselves a bit. Okay, so I have a reaction from Shaggy. Jintama, welcome back. Morgan, nice to see you here. Musa as well. Boaz, nice to see you. This is an open work session, so I'm expecting you guys to share, yeah, I'm going to be progressing a bit. Shaggy? I saw some mics coming, opening. I'm not sure if you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just wanted to say that I was just seeing a reply from Jack on X that as soon as next week, we can have an update on the Catalyst status about what is going to happen. So that is something to look out in the next week. I think it will be first week of March. So yeah.
Okay.
Also, I think Danny from Catalyst released a milestone review document where they're taking feedback about the process of how reviews are being done and the rewards announced. So it is something that people can contribute. It's an open document, so people can leave their comments.
Okay. If you have a link for the one from Danny or either of these, if you have a link, so you could also drop them on the Miro board or on the chat here, and I'll bring it up.
Hello, Lucas. Hello, Gintama.
Hey.
Hello, Boaz. It's been a minute.
So can you just introduce yourself to the room by saying like what organization you're coming from? I've seen you around. I know what that is, but maybe others could get to know you a bit.
Okay, so hello guys, I'm Morgan and I'm from Paper Thoughts. We're a literary community primarily based in Nigeria. So yeah, I've been away for a while. So I don't know, I've kind of like missed a bit, and I was hoping if you guys could like catch me up to speed, and I'll pick up from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Anyone else?
Hello guys, this is Boaz from Goma. It's in the DR Congo. The Goma Cabinet. I'm a NCC member, the membership community committee from Intersect. And I don't know what else. That's me. Thank you.
Good to have you here. Shaggy, I'm not sure if you want, I saw you open your mic once or twice. Do you want to jump in?
Yep. Hi guys, it's Shaggy from Solidity Records over here on this account today. Yeah, I'm not sure what sort of introductory information I got to provide, but I came because this is governance and budget, and I've been very, I've watched a lot of this budget stuff pretty proactively. I'm hawkish, so I'm curious to see what discussions we get up to today.
Yeah. So on this little Google Sheet that I have on screen that I linked to, there's a field here about what's on your radar in terms of governance and funding, just like the main things that you work on and that you are on your radar, literally. On the first call, we had Jonah and a number of other people from the ecosystem. So we did a lot of this kind of brainstorming, but the goal wouldn't be that we cover everything in one go. So it's really just things that are here, like a wall of lamentations, let's say, for a lot of people in the ecosystem that have come by over the different calls that we've run. There's also Circor in here, I think. Not sure. Sometimes I mix up the names. But yeah, overall, Shaggy, this space is something that I myself personally at 45B, I wanted to start hosting it periodically, at least once a week, maybe twice if we have an epoch like this week. We're going to have epoch. The next epoch is going to there's a epoch starting tonight that's going to finish before next week's call. So we're going to do a quick check-in on Friday if you want to come by, mostly to just look at the governance actions. Apart from that, one thing that we've done, for example, on previous calls, on the previous one, was to have this kind of governance tooling assessment of all the tools that are out there, which ones are more focused on chain or off chain, extra tooling, that kind of thing. We also can touch on governance education initiatives. That's why I think we have Musa here as well from the membership committee working on governance education. So this relates a lot with what you are about. And with Mark, for example, who's a governance tooling builder, Mark from Upstream, we started ideating here a bit the gap of Mark and I mostly have been describing it as the lack of reporting standards about how governance tooling is working. Each governance tool is working so that they can be more interoperable and hopefully coalesce in the longer term. So my Ubuntu wants to talk with me. Okay, so one thing that I had here, just if I may, use a couple of minutes of this calls also to say what we're about. This is how I wrote it a few days ago. So the way, like 45B literally stands for all the ADA that's ever going to exist. And this, and the reason we took this name is because we want to be Cardano-centric consultancy to onboard Web 2 projects into Web 3 centered on in a way that's centered on Cardano. But we also have like this vision or this interpretation of what Cardano can be that aligns very much with what is described out there as a network state. And so we wanted to use the total number that ADA is trending towards to portray it a lot like digital space or digital terrain. And when you own a bit of ADA, you are joining this kind of planet almost, or a network state so from your ADA you get to vote and you get to have those rights to participate in the ecosystem. I invite you to have a look here or pause this later if you want to come back to it. We also, like, I just fed this sort of manifesto draft on the Notebook LM. It created some kind of interpretation here a bit of what we stand for. But yeah, so this is a bit what I was talking about, ADA as digital territory. As a consultancy that wants to work on Cardano, 45B is not at ease if we're not contributing to good governance on Cardano, and we wouldn't be, trusting what we're saying to our customers if we're onboarding companies to build on Cardano, but we feel like the governance on Cardano is like not so robust or centralized or something like that. So yeah, have a look later, and we'll get back to us if you want. One of the things that we've done as well, aligning from the artistical or communication side, is like this contrast. This is something that we explain to our trainees and the people we try to onboard to Cardano, is that where Bitcoin is like decentralized, even on a governance level, that they don't have any governance system, a formal one, Cardano is trying to take on that challenge. So I don't know. Does anyone want to give me some feedback about this?
I just I like this idea. I think this is really good as far as like how an individual entity that is not a founding entity can kind of contribute or direct people to contribute. I guess my bigger thing, Lucas, and this has been consistent throughout the 2 or so years of governance here on Cardano, there's not very good or easy to use contribution mechanisms, man. Like, I know there's really nothing we can do about that right now, but being that you're working more closely maybe with some of these agencies or entities, I wanted to ask, do you have any particular inroads to hand off this feedback in a way that it can be utilized, or is this just going to be us gathering feedback as 45B, and then what usually happens with feedback in Cardano is that nothing gets done with it? So,
but the thing is, I obviously I know who you're talking about in terms of the founding entities and etc. But if it is a decentralized protocol, I shouldn't have to go with feedback to someone. We have our culture, we can have our ways of working, we can create our own tooling. So the tooling is out there in terms of like all these different tools. And my vision would be that without going to any founding entity or what to call it now, Penta something, we could govern ourselves, maybe get funded from the treasury, but that's not the goal for this group. This is like public service call once a week, and that's it. But these tools should be enough for the citizens of Cardano to direct Cardano, and not have to go and improve governance on Cardano through the founding entities. So different tooling, different culture, and try to create a virtuous cycle between those two. Participation, engagement, which is, yeah, I agree, what has been lacking in Cardano. So we're not perfect. Like you can see me here stuttering and trying to find my way, but we wanted to start this space to debate. And last week, for example, we had Keneric here from the civics committee, and he was saying this directory is already like a bit like more rich than the one they have in Intersect. That's something that, as someone that has attended a lot of Gov tool working group calls, I yeah, I got tired of giving them feedback. So I've tried that way of going to their calls and all that. But when you have all these other people building other tools, it's just like you need to be practical. Sorry, I
Okay.
went on
It
in a
makes
bit of. Thanks.
I got something I definitely do want to talk about when you open the floor up regarding funding and governance.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm still trying to find the method for these calls. So we have this dimension here that we can go over, and I put in these recurring call segments. So maybe let's just focus, go over this one as first, and then we can open the floor a bit more and maybe focus on these or others, because you're the boss. You guys are participating in the call. I'm not going to steer it exclusively to the ones that we had outlined with previous participants on a previous call. But just to try to sweep through this, so I've shared the Miro board and the sheet. We had some ecosystem updates from Gintama. Thank you so much about that. And in terms of tooling reviews, we've done them last week, very, very high level. So we can go back there whenever we want, but I don't think there's any big updates from this side, right?
I got an ecosystem update to add.
Okay.
It's kind of sliding under the radar right now, but the MCC in Intersect is trying to restart community hubs.
Okay.
That is probably terrible for us. So we need to watch this.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. So like I was just saying, one of the reasons I started these is that I tried to work with the community hubs, for example. I went to tons of calls. I was in direct contact with Anna. I was exchanging emails with Nick, her boss, I think. And as someone that's organized some events in Lisbon and that sees what a lot of people in the ecosystem are doing, I wanted to, I think in a way, what you were saying is this is not so good, is because the previous iteration of it didn't really yield any results, at least for most of the hubs that were funded. From my region, I can confirm that the hub that was granted in my region didn't do almost anything, and the money that just disappeared. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do it. The first thing I would ask is that they have a proper outreach for people that are already on the ground doing it, and then we can, I don't know, vote or something on who's going to be granted something, or maybe take an approach of retroactively funding who's been doing stuff, not just put it to land on the lap of someone that sounds good, then they just don't do anything. And
we definitely need to be on top of this, though, because if this is any indication, they're not announcing this. They're not asking for feedback on this. This is something a lot of the community I know is vehemently opposed to, and they're still choosing to do it anyways. One of our former community hubs managers for North America is actually an MCC committee seat holder now. So I'm not at all surprised by the incestuous nature of this funding proposal.
Yeah. So one of the things we did when the Treasury funding was being ran, we created this proposal called 45B Grid, which would be like an online net community hub for a number of like global one, but speaking different languages and everything. So I went through the process of trying to reinvent this initiative for community hubs, and I don't know. I think what I would like to see is like, this is just one initiative. We ran just 3 calls, as you can see there, and a little more. We need to start learning from each other, looking at who's already doing things. There's Ada Solar, there's a number of others on the ground doing stuff. And yeah, debate is not running correctly, and the funding is not flowing to who's doing things.
Lucas, I had another update on, I'm not sure, like, should I call it ecosystem update or an intersect internal update, but soon, maybe in April, as soon as April, we can see that people are going to be elected for 2-year term in committees.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, like, does it come on the ecosystem update or Not but Intersect is moving from 1 year to 2 year term for committee
Mhm.
members elected in April and moving to one election per year of committees with board happening in October. So that is something that,
You said it will happen in April, right? I think.
yeah, as soon as April,
Yeah.
like they are still waiting for ISC and board yes to go.
Mhm.
So maybe that's something.
Thanks. Musa?
Yeah, sorry. Hello, everyone. I think it kind of going to be noisy out here, but if you can hear me from there, maybe you can
Yes.
just react. You can just react, maybe. Okay, fine. This intersect people, like there are a lot of things that I wanted to chip into, but I'm actually outside and I can't contribute. I don't think I can. Maybe later I can just drop them. So this intersect preparing to yet can you maybe brief me on that? Because what I know about this intersect preparing 2 years, it's actually 18 months, not 2 years. So can you just tell me what you know about this? Maybe I'm wrong from my end. Can you plug me
Okay.
into this intersect, this last input?
I don't, so I'll kick it back to Jintama in case you know, but otherwise we're going to have to
It's 18 months,
research
not
a bit.
2 years. So and also um okay, maybe we can just write down when we get to
Okay.
AOB session. I will just drop my input there in the
Thanks.
chat.
Okay. Let's leave it on our radar. What I'm doing with like all the calls that we've done so far is ideally we're going to have this a bit more structured. So there's a previous call section there, which was like the first call, the very first one. And then on the last call for Epoch 613, we also touched on these. And eventually I'm going to leave all of these organized here and linking to the videos of the calls so that we can try to highlight what was happening in there and maybe come back to it. For example, from last week's call, there's a number of items here that I wasn't able to follow up on, and maybe I won't. Maybe some of you could come back and illustrate this, for example, that was discussed on a previous call. I'm not sure. We just need to keep iterating around stuff. But for now, for today's call, since we're already halfway through the time, it would be, let's just park this one and go over any other things. So here, for example, I'm going to move these two down to the catalyst section. And here we go. Ongoing governance actions. Maybe let's use CGov this time, just to have a quick look. I'm not sure if anyone wants to say anything about the governance actions that are up to be voted on. You don't need to raise your hand. There's very few of us in the call, so jump in.
All right. Maybe I would want to chip in this particular governance action, which is this one, the second one, reduce minimum
Minimum
constitutional
constitutional
committee.
committee
Yeah,
size.
yeah, yeah. I think I have something to chip in there, but maybe I'll just type it and drop it in the chat. I'm not sure if it's still active. That governance action, I'm not sure if it's still active at the moment. Because yeah, I'm coming, trying to like get evidence what I'm saying and post.
Okay. I'm not sure what this one is. You know what this is about? Not sure if this is a glitch. Submitted today.
I don't even know. I've not seen this one though. But that's of Utah. That of Utah, the minimum reduce minimum constitutional committee members to from 7 to 5. I doubt if it's still active, and there are some talk around it now. So yeah, we need to actually discuss that too. Very important. Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to find another tool to look into just to get different view of the governance actions that are up there.
Cardano Cube can you can try that on. Yeah,
On
this is
Cardano
also
Cube, they have governance actions?
yeah.
Okay, that's new.
Under
Are you
yeah, explore. You click on the explore on the
Mhm.
top. Governance, explore governance.
Okay. I had no idea these guys had added this.
And I think so. Amaru, yeah, there is an Amaru proposal.
Okay, so there's only 2 active proposals according to this platform.
From here you can see the rationale or the reason behind that reduced minimum cost. I think they should have this thing here because it's showing invalid here. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the other platform needs to update their listing. So
Mhm.
it's happened last week, and
But this
the
one,
reason behind
yeah, this has been up for a while now. For 13 days already. I think this is one that we've discussed on the previous call. Because it's a parameter change, it's not going to be able to be enacted, so it's going to be abandoned. I invite you to take a look at what we discussed on the previous call. You have on the top of the Miro board here our recordings, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what we discussed here. Parameter changes need to reference the previous changed parameter. So because this one was enacted, the one that you're talking about is not a valid governance action, so it's going to have to be resubmitted. Does that help? Okay, so let's just move on. Yeah, there's literally too many tools now to track everything, to be able to see it from different from all of them, let's say. I'm not
I
sure
think,
what's
sorry,
happening here.
just Pedro, just an observation though, because
Yes.
there might be new people joining the house which won't understand the reason behind proposal being enacted or not. For that of can you go back to the previous proposals, those 2 proposals, the one that was enacted, and if there's a way we can just break it down to people that are new in the house, why the other one was enacted and why the other one was considered invalid, so that they can get to understand the reason
Oh, but
or rationale behind it.
we've gone over this on the previous call, Musa.
Having 2
It's
parameter changes cannot go at once.
yeah, that's the thing. We've spent time on this on the last call, and it's really just as simple, let's say, as this. So this shouldn't have been put into the on-chain voting while this one wasn't completely cleared, and because they sort of put the car in front of the what's the expression? Yeah, so it's really just that. I'm not sure what you want to add relating to this. Cart before the horse. Thanks. Okay, Gintama, see you on the next call. I'm just going to move on, okay, Musa? Okay, so just to close on this, looking into governance actions, what I conclude is that I need to get familiar with at least one so that I can use it as my reference. Today, I'm just going to focus on these 2, and I'm not sure. Yeah, this one is brand new, but since it's just a treasury withdrawal, I would guess there's not much to say about that. And this one has been around for a while as well, not getting that much traction. So it's still going to be around for a while. So let's just keep an eye on it. And what I'm going to do is to just get a quick snipping of the ones we looked at today, and I'll ignore the rest just so I can follow on. And like I said, we're going to have a quick call just to do this kind of looking into governance actions on Friday. So if you keep an eye on our calendar, you'll see that event pop up by the end of today. Okay, so I'm just going to close this for a while. I'm just going to close this for now. What else? Okay, so zooming back out, Shaggy, you wanted to add something to today's topics here, or do you want to start with that maybe for a bit? Solidity records. Maybe I'll create space here, Justin, and let's go back to it later. So in terms of ecosystem needs, what we have worked on previously is like, sorry, just zooming out. On this section of the board, we have all the different tooling for governance. So we have Cardano budget and all of the different ones. And most of these are empty. Some of them are somewhat filled in by Darlington, for example, who was on one of these calls that we had back in May when I was still in the open source committee. So when we are working on specific tools, when we're looking at specific tools, we see here a number of topics. And if we zoom out, we created this section here, which is more to capture ecosystem needs. So I wanted to just spend a few minutes asking you guys for input on this side, from this point of view. What we have under usual framework, which is core, data, open sourceness, roadmap, features, and business model, so sustainability. Actually, the next point we have on our board is to, discuss how can governance tooling be sustainable. Okay, so let's add one here about that. And again, if you have any input, jump in, open your mic. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue to review a bit what we have on screen, okay?
Sorry, I think I have question regarding that last field. Governance tooling can be sustainable, right? When you mean sustainable in that aspect, I don't know if you can explain in what context. Is it financially to the ecosystem or
Yeah.
Transaction? Okay, what like financially to the ecosystem?
For its makers.
That's a very big question that I myself have been asking.
Yeah.
Like, how can governance tooling be sustainable? Because we are thinking of working on governance tool, but well, let's keep up and see what we have here, right? Let me see, because I have been finding and I've been looking for an answer to that question too. So I hope I get answer from here today.
Well, there's, let's say, options, what we need to bring into the table, right? And obviously, the main one is treasury funding, right? And then you have what? Catalyst. And then, can you think of anything else?
Builder DAO.
Okay.
Associate DAO.
Okay.
Intersect has grants for this. Open source committee.
Oh,
Thank you, Gintama, for bringing those options. What of products committee also? Don't you think?
Which one? Sorry.
Products committee.
I'm not sure. I think
All right.
product committee is like the example, for example, that you have output from them is like the vision, Vision 2030 for Cardano. I'm not sure they're looking into
Okay, yeah.
specific tooling.
Yeah. Open source is the best. Yeah, open source is the best. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing I feel like on all of these is like you're a bit like Shaggy was asking me in the beginning about reporting back to the big players. And I really, really think that since we are decentralized, eventually we could do some change with sort of a value for value, um, let's say dynamics. So this would be voters. I actually don't like to use the DREP terminology. I just think everyone's a voter, but I'll add it here. Voters, DREPs, and etc. contributing. So in a way, incentivizing or paying for the tools they prefer to use, contributing, subsidizing. Is this so far-fetched? Shaggy, I'm curious about your feedback.
On which part?
In terms of instead of asking for funding entities or like the big ones to get me a huge grant, could it be feasible that the same way I was just opening 3 governance tools, when I do become a regular user of one of those, I start paying a bit for using them?
No, I would never use a governance tool. I'm not paying to vote.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't think the average user would either. Like, what value does that bring? Right?
Well, we're always talking about voting, right? And the money can be signal. The fact that you're donating to a tool could be signaling, okay, these guys had, I don't know how many donations. And again, I'm not even talking about the costs of the transaction, because if you're willing to donate 5 ADA to someone, it's not going to be the 17 cents of ADA that's going to be a problem for you. I see your point that you shouldn't be paying to vote, but you're not paying to the chain, you're paying to the tool maker. That's basically
wrong. Like, that's not how the ecosystem should have been set up. And I can
it isn't. So I'm just postulating a way, right?
Yeah.
But you think that we should continue to have these entities deciding who's doing a good job in funding them from the
No.
Treasury? Okay. So now you have, because I feel like these are sort of like two opposite sides. You have the upside is these guys decide who to fund, and this side that I'm ideating would be voters, because they use from the 7 tools that we have out there. If the population in mass is using just one of them, either voters fund them directly with value for value mentality, or they vote for them to be funded, right?
I get what you're saying, Lucas. I think that this is also better framed when you, all right, if it's an if this, then that, right? This is a terrible sell for the ecosystem, right? And I'll explain, because the founding entities having as much control as they do is probably not great when it comes to like the more broad, like, what are we going to build on Cardano? What's the vision for the future? Because, you know what I'm saying, the founding entities are kind of siloed into their own development pipelines anyways. But what that also doesn't mean is no treasury funding, no intersect, no none of that stuff would mean individuals like us, right? We have to put together our own GovTool platform. And as you know, there are a bunch of people trying to build GovTools platforms that are less functional, have less support, less users, and less visibility. So it's like we're siloing ourselves out even further. And I want to finalize that point with this. Things like governance, right? Governance tooling, this is not optional. We committed to doing this when we accepted SIP 1694 and when we hard forked the chain into Voltaire era. It is the founding entity's role and responsibility to ensure that we have effective governance tooling to do the job upon which they handed us, right? Like, I think like seeing the founding entities as like a funding tool for projects, that's the wrong way to look at this. But
Yeah.
this is funding for ecosystem level tooling that absolutely should be on the founding entities. And it's not on us as individuals to all build our own governance platform, because that makes siloization even worse, because like everybody's building in their own space. The lack of standards for how parsing of the governance materials is going to work, like that's not helpful either, because like all these different developers are going to build their own way to do this, and then when we finally do standardize it, a lot of those guys' stuff's going to break, right? So like there's a lot of challenges here, but we're making it worse by siloing ourselves out and everybody building their own gov tool thing. The founding entities kind of washing their hands of this. Like this is not a good sell for the ecosystem, right? So although I agree the founding entities need less direct centralization or central control over a lot of aspects, when it comes to core infrastructure, which I would say governance tooling is core infrastructure nowadays, right? We implemented DREPs and all this other governance stuff. The tooling has to be there to support that. And that's on the founding entities, right? So that's my stance. I hope that makes sense.
Well, okay. So, but you said, sorry to cut you off, Musa. You said that tooling has to be there. Why does it have to be for the governing entities to? What's the end of that sentence? Is it to fund or to decide who's the winner in the best tool?
No, they needed to have this built when we launched this, and they didn't. And now we're having to pick up the pieces and put together governance tooling that allows this to function effectively, right? But they aren't committed to necessarily delivering that either yet, bro. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
They're managing the budget. There's budget for everything, but
sure.
the governance tooling still hasn't been like even spec'd, let's say.
And man, that was something we, like I said, we committed to doing that when we accepted SIP 1694 and when we committed to the hard fork. They didn't do their job. So, you know, this is core infrastructure for Cardano to function effectively, and it definitely is on the founding entities to do that.
I'm just curious to hear Musa. Not sure if you still want to jump in.
I have 1,001 thing to say. What I'm trying to say was, Tankov, once you jump on this, is going to like really take us a longer time than we expect or we are thinking, right? Shaggy, honestly, has been a bone of contention in the house, right? I 100% agree with you, and at the same time, I think there's still room for objections, right? Sometimes I think there should be room for objections sometimes due to the fact of we saying I want to respect people's opinion in the system of decentralization, right? I thought of this. Yes, there are some core things that are supposed, right, out to be the I don't want to say they are supposed to be they are supposed to come from the founding entities, right? But at the same time, I feel this is my personal feelings, please don't get me wrong. I feel it can come from anybody because this is our ecosystem, right? We all belong here, and we want to like see it move, strive in this space, right? So I feel it's very important. Whoever has a better or yeah, a better opinion can just bring it up and we do something. Yes, I agree with you. The founding entity are supposed to handle those aspects you are mentioning. But how long? The question I have is how long can we wait for the funding entities to do that for us? And also I'm not in support and I'm not against. They have a lot at their end too that they are doing. They're giving their best, which we all know and we are seeing, right? So yes, I understand we can all do better, but irre- irrespective, irrespective, anybody can just I feel it should be an open ground in general. Yeah, in conclusion, I feel it should be an open ground it could come from anybody, right? So, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Shaggy. I understand, but I feel if you have to go in there, we are going to end up not doing anything, right? So that is just where I stand, right? So that's just my own points.
All right.
Okay. Can you come back?
No, not really. I mean, he makes good points, and you know, I agree we can't really wait on the founding entities, you know, but at the same time, it's like if we're not going to wait on them to do the job that they need to do, we should also not vote yes for anything else that they're asking for, bro. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. We're putting ourselves in a pickle here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're just going to
Shaggy,
keep.
Shaggy. This is a personal feelings, right? I get to that point, and this is my personal opinion. If they don't agree or if they don't do what they are supposed to do, that shouldn't stop us to like vote yes or no in whatever. If we see what they're bringing in is going to be beneficial, we have no option than to just support it, right? That is my this is just personal feelings, Shaggy. Don't get me wrong.
We definitely have the option to say no, um, you know, and like that. I really am curious to understand that mindset of like, hey, they're bringing us some good stuff, so we have to say yes to everything else. Like that doesn't make sense. And you know, I think that they've leveraged this within Intersect particularly, but also IOG. This is why they do those omnibus budget proposals, bro. Where it's like instead of us being able to pick and choose what of the budget we like and what we want to keep, they like to put all these things together on one big budget, and then we vote yes on that because hey, it's going to deliver Laos, but we're also voting yes on 9 other wasteful things. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not fair to us. And if they're petitioning the system, they're setting it up, right, Musa? So like we can't forget that. Yes, it's decentralized, but the founding entities are the ones establishing this governance process, and they're setting it up in a way like this. They're building the budget process like this. So I disagree that we have to say yes to anything. I don't care if it's good or not. If they're not doing their job or fulfilling their role, Emergo is a great example of that. Emergo may have done 2 or 3 good things ever, but that does not mean we need to constantly give them 60 million ADA a year forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, guys, I think like let's zoom out a bit. It was an interesting exercise to talk a bit about the both sides of things, and I'm a bit
I
puzzled.
appreciate it too. It's good. It's good.
We could pull on the thread of the omnibus versus, there were actually like 15 or whatever things funded. There was, I think the process can improve greatly, but I still think like everything you are talking about is happening at this level. And I wanted to bring it down, like I started by saying in the beginning of the call, 45 billion ADA, people voting, people making like the ecosystem think as an organism, and I think that we should have a lot more of this. So, for example, if there is someone here, some entity here, giving out millions to governance tooling builders, that voting should happen maybe specifically by ADA holders to vote on that somehow. And I don't want to think that they would just pick a winner. So I would love for a kind of survey or whatever way of assessing it to reveal which governance tools have been used the most. And in that way, we could distribute rewards to all of these guys in the degree that they have been used. It'd been useful. So that's what I mean in a way as well with value for value. Um, anyway, let's just we're a bit like short on time, so let's come back to the ecosystem needs soon on other calls. I just wanted to point out that this started by being written back in May last year. For example, someone had put it here that we needed a tool just for governance parameter change governance actions, and someone has picked this up meanwhile. So there's on down into the left in our board, there's a tool for this that's now being built. And before moving away from this section of the board, also some things that we've discussed in our calls is that Ryan pointed out governance should be in wallets, not in a Gov tool. Gintama mentioned that some users don't go to either, so they're really very, very intermittent. And so they should need to have, I would assume, notifications or some that kind of thing. And that's why we came up with delegation as well. So I'm not sure how to approach it. Welcome, Keneric, as well.
Sorry, my fashionable late arrival. I got
Sorry, Canary.
occupied with something else.
Welcome, Canary. Pedro, that is something we've been discussing locally within us, right? This issue of notification in wallet, it's something that is very, very essential for every ADA holder, right? Because first off, I think it's really going to help us a lot and go a long way. Because if not for you opening this what's it called, the governance active governance action.
Mhm.
So for today, I have not checked in if there is a new or expiring governance action. So it was through you that I get to see a governance action that was submitted, the recent one. So when my plan was to check somewhere around
Yeah.
tomorrow or something, I think we really need notification because talking about voting, we need notification to remind the rep, SPOs, or whoever is eligible to vote, and also people that need to read or go through governance action. I think that notification thing of a stop is very, very important. And this is where Shaggy that this is where the I don't want to call it a debate, the debate earlier come into play. If the founding entity has a governance tool, I think this is the only way it can work. I'm not saying this is the only way. Okay, this would have helped. Sorry, point of correction. This would have helped, right? But if there is an official governance tool, it would have helped, right? So now I'm talking about notification now. We have different wallets. We have
Mhm.
Ethernet, we have Lace, we have the right different wallets. So it's going to really go hard on all those entities to like integrate this on their end or on their wallets in no time. Because this is something I feel we need in no time. Like we don't even have
So
time for it. Just my personal
I'm
feeling
just
or
gonna go to
opinion.
Chaggy before I jump in.
Oh, it's no rush, bro. You can finish.
No, I just wanted to point out we are sort of agreeing on the destination, which is okay, more notifications, more engagement, but maybe I would start disagreeing on the route to take to get to that destination. But
Okay.
jump in.
I've noticed, Lucas, you're pretty adamantly against like the founding entities having say or like directing action in the ecosystem. And I'm all for that. I totally understand. I don't trust most of the founding entities to do much. However, when it comes to stuff like wallet level stuff, core infrastructure, which could be node level stuff, alt node development, was it governance tooling, like these are core infrastructure for Cardano to function. Regarding the notification thing, and like
Mhm.
you spoke before, man, messaging via Cardano transactions is a thing. We have a SIP for it. There's a process to do that. Wallets have not implemented that. Same goes for a lot of governance SIPs and governance stuff. A lot of wallets out of like what the 18 or 19 we have don't have that functionality in place. Now, that could all be resolved if, for instance, we had a founding entity that reached out to every single one of these wallets and then asked them, hey, how much does it cost for you to integrate these improvements to your wallet that allows for Cardano's average users to utilize this messaging function, notification, delegation change, notification of new governance action, notification of messaging, all that stuff. It literally needs the founding entities to direct that energy, man. Like this is the core infrastructure is the only reason we have a need for founding entities at all. And I would say wallets, gov tooling, node infrastructure, those are core infrastructure. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
I,
I'm
we
curious
could
thoughts on like,
we
hold on, what I would just want to be able to close it out
yes.
with the actual question, Lucas. But what's your solution without founding entities playing that central organizational role in divvying out the funds and ensuring that these wallets are all brought up to par? Like without that, what do you know what I'm saying? Like what's your solution, bro?
I just even before the founding entities go and say, okay, let's use this and let's fund all the wallets to do that. I think that the solutions should surface from usage, so it should be very, very clear. Like I know, for example, for DREP compensation, I think Phil is saying, let's just put it in the wallets and test it. Why hasn't anyone ventured to doing it? One wallet could do it, and eventually if that solution gets traction by users after it's proven or it's flourishing with some users, or even let's say organically in Cardano, that could be funded, I would say, afterwards, or in a way like we need some people to do sort of POCs of things before we throw millions at them to do this idealistic thing. That's sort of my view. But that's just my view. I'm not, Musa?
From my own personal feelings and experience, I just feel whatever I'm going to say here, it's just my personal opinion. Please don't get me wrong. Nobody should get me wrong. So, you know, talking about decentralization, we are only looking at the good part of decentralization, and sometimes we don't look at the other part of it, right? This is one of the other part of decentralization, right? Because this issue of wallets, I remember vividly. I'm not going to call names of wallets, which I have sent messages directly, and they've acknowledged those messages in their DM for over 365 days, letting them know before I became a dealer. I became a dealer just not long ago. That okay, I observed. We took a mini survey. I took a mini survey in my local community. Why people are not, for example, taking part in governance action, like to know about participation in governance action, and that was one of the feedback people say sometimes, like that, like issue of notification was one of the feedback. So I now see that okay, this is a problem that needs to be solved, right? I raised the alarm sometimes back to some wallets, about two good wallets that people do mostly use. I'm not going to call names, right? But what happened? They acknowledged it and action was not taken. I feel this time around, if I just wish it's possible I share my screen.
Yes,
I feel
please.
because I'm a type of person that
Oh, you
I love
can't do it
taking
now, can you?
action. I love taking action, but before then I try to like follow protocols, right? So, but I first of all try to like reach out to wallets. Okay, I feel doing this will help the ecosystem, right? And it will also help the platforms, notifying people on governance action, people to vote. So they acknowledge it. They say, yeah, it's a good idea, but nothing was done for it. So I now took it upon myself. I think that was last 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the CATS summit in Africa. I am in talking times with Gimba Labs and Lido Nation, right? Also, I think I've sent the open source chair letter. I think that was about 2 days ago. He has not responded, so that we can come together and develop this ourselves. Initially, I was thinking of even submitting the action as governance action, because this is something that needs support to be done. You don't expect me to I don't even have it done, so you don't expect me to from my wallet or from my personal funds to like do something to this, right? So maybe when we do it and the ecosystem sees the need or the use of it, maybe other wallet can follow suit and get along with us too, right? This is where I seems to stand, while this is where I counter the opinion of we don't need to wait for the founding entity or wait for any entity to do things we need. We can just pick it up ourselves sometimes, because it might
Yeah.
be an oversight or a load, or it might be maybe there are lots on their table that they can't clear, so we can just pick something from our end to and handle. Maybe from there they can see, you can call their attention to it, and okay, yeah, we actually need to get this done. From there they can pick it up. So that is my own. So talking about the wallet, I think it's something I am working to. Two things I'm working towards. Okay, I think it's good I even announce it. Two things I'm working towards: notification on wallets, right? And also, it's notification will be coming in via the applications and also via email, right? These are the two ways we are working on
So you're
notifying
talking
people
about
on.
creating another wallet, which is
No, no,
a
no. We're not
governed.
creating another wallet. Right now, we are thinking of working with a smaller wallet. Sorry, pardon me for calling it a smaller wallet.
Okay, I heard
Sorry, sorry.
educational wallet. Is that
Sorry.
what you were?
Is this a recording space?
Yes, it's
So
going
yeah,
to on
we are thinking
YouTube,
of
but
working with a
it's okay.
particular wallet. So from there, maybe when people sees it, use it, and like maybe love it, maybe they can endorse it from there too. Also, the second project we are working on is um Cardano Treasury Explorer, right? Where every single penny coming out of Cardano Treasury is can be tracked or seen to where they were sent to, what projects are they working on, what is the milestones of those projects. Like something, these are the two little projects we are working on at our end, and this project needs support financially. Technical aspects we are covered. We have Lido, we have Gimbal Labs, and we still have developers from our community. So that's not a problem for us.
If the standards exist, if we have the code already to generate signatures or to generate transactions, to vote on things and all that, is it this huge budget for a wallet just to surface that? You know,
Sorry, can you come again with that?
I was just pointing out, one thing is to have the standards and the code, or sorry, the standard is there, SIP 1694 or other more detailed things, or for how to write transactions that vote, that, you know, Mark, for example, was on these calls often. They can do whatever they want. And if one guy can do whatever they want in terms of indexing the things, composing transactions, I just come back to my point of, okay, if you think that this education wallet is a good solution, create it. And maybe if it does get traction, you can get funds on future iterations of it. But
All right,
I wouldn't
okay.
think that we need to all wait for a tool to be
Sorry
funded so that we can have it in the
sorry for
ecosystem.
putting you there. There is no point of, okay, personally, there's no point of me creating wallet and maybe at the end of the day jumping on the project, finishing it successfully, like executed project, and I will now be seeking for support after doing the project. There's no point. That is what I feel personally. What is the point of me jumping on the project, finishing it, and after finishing, I'll not be seeking for financing aspect of the project? No, no. I need the finance to pick the project up, not when I'm done with the project. That is just my. So I'm sorry. I'm just trying to like. I'm not trying to counter you, but
No,
that's
I
how I feel.
understand. It's your posture.
I need this an idea in my head that I feel will help the ecosystem. Yes. So if you guys feel, yeah, it's this idea can work, support, and we get it done. Okay. Now me picking my header, do the project, finishing it, and I don't even need to submit anything for any support to me. If I want to do it for the ecosystem from my pocket, if I can't do it, I'll do it. If I can't do it, I leave it. So we have a long way to. I'm sorry, I won't say long way to go. I guess we can all do better in this ecosystem, right? We can all do better for the betterment and moving forward of the ecosystem, right? Because I remember reaching out to entities. It's a whole lot, bro. It's a whole lot, and I don't want to even.
I just want to point out, like, I understand your point. No one can spend months, and I've spent 4 years already on Cardano, and I know how hard it is to work without much funding, and so no one can build this huge app for months without doing anything. But you can do a POC, I would argue, and that's what all of these guys have been doing. So I'm just pointing out someone is taking that approach. But let's go to Morgan.
So I was going to speak to Musa here. If you reach out to people and then you share ideas with them and they don't give feedback, I think you should explore the forum, or you should explore Discord, explore channels where you get to talk to a lot of people here, like something like this call. You could join the Caranova Coffee book a session. I really just try to rally people to the cause, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to politics. You need people on your idea, you need people discussing your idea, and that's how it gets to the top. That's how it moves the guys at the top to actually, like, recognize that it's something that needs to be done. Instead of brooding, you could just, if I want to be crass, I say play the game. So yeah, that's it really. But it's beautiful stuff that you have ideas that you want to build on. So, but I think you should find ways to communicate your ideas, really validate it from community, and rally the support to your cause. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just coming back to these ecosystem needs quadrant, to all these squares here. And yeah, I think, for example, to gather feedback about your tool and endorsement, let's say, could be something that we're missing in a way. And on the flip side of that, you're not going to get it if you haven't promoted promotion. So I'm going to just add here promotion of each specific tool. So that's it is a way, in a way, what we're trying to do here by putting them on a board, and hopefully, like I was discussing with Gimbal Labs, for example, the same way you have, I don't know, I'm thinking of DEX aggregators, but that's not a good example, or routers of things. We could have sort of a landing page that has all of these, and people can go through it to find them and leave feedback on them. So like a portal of governance tools, although it sounds like a solution to solve the problem, like to wrap everything together, maybe it could be something that we could try to help as 45B here. Guys, we're a bit over time already. I'm not sure. I think it was great. Everyone shared a lot about this. There were still 2 other points here that we pointed out on previous calls, but let's not go into them so much. So if you're okay, I will just zoom out and go to cover some other points that we had here, like on the way out, just to close out. Is that okay? So I saw 1 thumb up. Thanks. So this one I'm going to leave for next time, because Thomas from the Nordic pool, I think, is developing a governance tool. He meant to come by. I'm not sure why he couldn't make it. So let's bring it down. Here, same thing. I thought there was someone else that could be coming by to talk about their governance tools. Not going to happen today. So when we decided to talk about this, we had this as a side note. We ended up doing a lot of this and not so much of this. So overall, gathering ecosystem needs relating to governance. But I think we touched on it a bit today. It was productive, let's say. So let's leave this for future reiteration. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to get into much depth in like a half hour or something. The last point I wanted to mention before we start closing out today is that Christina from Pragma, Blink Labs, is taking initiative to start doing creating a working group or a methodology and all the workflow, let's say, that's needed to do impact assessment on what was handed out or given or voted last year in 2025's budget for Cardano. And so I'm going to drop this in the chat because I really wanted to help promote this initiative. It's one of the things, like one of the examples of not waiting for others to do it. And if you identify the gap, you just try to find people that you can collaborate with and go ahead and try to deliver something. Touching on what Christina is raising, I wanted to point out, like, this board has a number of things. This is the current initiative. This is what I had started when I was in the open source committee, just as a side project. If we come down here, there's something that sort of touches on Christina's initiative, which is a bit like we have, this was when I was from the open source committee attending the Intersect steering committee calls. And so I sort of helped sketch up this way of seeing what they were proposing. So they were saying it is a transparent process. Someone said today that there's going to be every ADA is accounted for, but what Christina is pointing out sort of aligns with what I was portraying here already. We have the vendors, we have a third-party assurer, which basically is almost like an ecosystem player as well. There's a delivery assurance function. I'm not sure exactly what's been done here, so I'm going to just change this one to maybe put more focus on it, because this is what Christine is trying to address, or she's identified a gap here in a way. This eventually was created, is being delivered, let's say, by an oversight committee. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that, like, this is something that's been in my radar for months, and I'm very happy that someone has started focusing on it to create solutions. So yeah, have a look at the tweet, follow up with Christina if you feel so inclined. And I think that's what I can say. Anyone else wants to jump on this topic? Okay.
I still want to say thank you, Luca, for keeping the glue together here. I really like it. And I'm sorry I was late, but I'm gonna look into
No
the
worries.
mirror board later on.
It's just going to be a routine thing for us. It's just the third or fourth, I don't know, call that we're doing. Again, there's the link pinned on the chat. You can find us through links.45b.io. And you can always see our calendars there. From there, you can jump to iterations of this event to get on the Miro board. So the simplest way I can invite you to stay in the loop is links.45b.io. Follow our socials and etc. Morgan?
I was going to ask where I could find links to the previous recorded sessions.
Yes.
I've missed a bit, and I was hoping if it could be added to the Miro board too, so in case people hop on the call and then we see the whole board, a lot of people have added like a lot of stuff there, and then we want to backtrack to see how it was all formed up. I think it would be nice to have a link to somewhere where the recordings will be posted.
It's right there on the top of it. So there's the YouTube, there's the Luma where future calls get published. And yeah, this call is going to be there in a few minutes because I'm literally just pasting it up. By the way, one thing that I meant to sort of demo or invite you to do is Shaggy, everyone that spoke in this call today, if you feel like you want to, amplify it further, you can come to this playlist. You can try to find the timestamp where you were talking and just, copy the URL at that time and tweet it out. And that way you can, we don't have budget to go and snip things and clip or whatever. So you can do it yourself by just doing what I illustrated, share it out and gather feedback asynchronously on X that way. Okay,
yeah,
guys.
Thank you, Lucas.
That's what I can say for now. Keep in touch and see you on Friday, because I'm going to create an event for Friday to go over any governance actions that are out there a little more. Otherwise, every Monday at 4:30. Sir Curran was saying that he has trouble coming at that time. Maybe we're going to push it down 1 hour later, 5:30 p.m. UTC, but just keep an eye on the calendar, please.
Question: when is Christina firing up her workshop?
Well, she was just on Cardano over coffee mentioning that she's going to push that initiative, progress, like work on that initiative this week. I'm hoping we're going to start seeing news from her. Yeah, but we were also discussing that tooling needs to be developed still. So I think things are going to run in parallel. For now, if you're interested in joining the initiative, just DM Christina, and that should bring you closer to the source.
Yeah, I have to do that. Thank you, Lucas.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. I think I just have to hop off now. Bye, guys, and
bye.
Enjoy.
See you next week. Or Friday, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Say it.